Hello, everyone. Very good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Please confirm in the chat box if I'm perfectly audible to you all. I hope everyone is ready with your pen and paper as we are about to begin our session. Please confirm in the chat box. You can. Okay. Thank you so much for all your responses. Tilak, Dimple, Nasreen, Shivas, Muzayya, Harshal, it's great to see you all joining for today's session. Ansh, yes, I welcome to all of you a very hearty and warm welcome. And let me start with something very real. Right now, there are hundreds of biotech and pharma companies who are actively hiring for AI engineers, actively hiring for AI and biotechnology roles. They want a hybrid talk about in almost all and mostly students have no idea what those roles actually look like, what skills are needed, or how to even start. And that's exactly why we are here today. So this is not going to be a theoretical session. We are going to break things down in a very practical, career focused way, which companies want, what skills matter, and how you can actually get there. Yes, um, Sharayana and Tilak, I am not sure, backlog aspirant, so maybe you can put your name. So, yes, welcome to all of you and good evening to all of you. So, now here's something important. Many of you might be thinking, I am from life science background. Can I move into AI? I'm from bioinformatics. Can I enter into life science? So, the answer is yes to both. Today, we will show you two clear paths, one for scientists moving into AI, and for engineers entering life science. And both paths lead to the same companies. And also, a very quick note, stay till the end because we are going to have a live Q&A session, and also there is a surprise for you that will be very helpful to use for you to use to start building your career immediately. And trust me, you don't want to miss that. Okay, so let's get started. We have a very strong panelist today with us. So first up, let me introduce to you Dr. Neeraj Kumar. I welcome you, sir, and thank you so much for taking our time today and joining with us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Some
Thank
quick
you.
words. Yes, it's our pleasure. So, some quick words about Dr. Neeraj Kumar. He is a senior scientist at Biotechnica and a computational biologist and bioinformatics specialist with over 9+ years of experience in AI-driven drug discovery. He has completed his MS from NIPA Kolkata, PhD from CSR IHBT and ACSIR. He has also worked internationally as a postdoctoral researcher at Pennsylvania State University, USA. His expertise spans AI/ML in drug discovery, molecular docking, QSAR structural bioinformatics, tools like PyTorch, TensorFlow, RDKit, AlphaFold. He has published multiple research papers in reputed journals like Journal of Cheminformatics, Computers in Biology and Medicine, and currently he's actively working on AI-based drug discovery pipelines, cancer resistance modeling, natural product-based therapeutics. So today he's not just speaking theory, he's bringing real industry insight. Now, uh, let me introduce our second speaker for the day. And I want you to all pay very close attention here. We have with us today Dr. Mrityunjay Singh. Sir, it's our extreme pleasure to have you here with us today. And we are looking forward to hearing from you to listen to your expertise and expert opinion. So, a few words about Dr. Mrityunjay, who is currently working as a principal scientist at Lofty Laboratories. He brings strong industry experience in AI, ML in drug discovery, molecular dynamics simulation, FEP and computational chemistry, data science, and Python. His background includes deep work in drug design and simulation pipelines, real world applications of AI in pharma workflows, And what makes this session especially valuable is that he understands exactly what industry expects from candidates today. So if you're serious about getting hired, then this is the session you should definitely pay a lot of attention to. And finally, we have with us Dr. Bhupinder, who will be coming for the third session. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhupinder, for joining us today. And
Thank you very
it's an
much.
extreme here. Yes. So, a few words about Dr. Bhupinder. He is a senior scientist and AI/ML trainer at Biotechnica with close to a decade of experience in bioinformatics and computational biology. He holds a PhD in bioinformatics and he has worked at CSR IM Tech Chandigarh. His expertise includes AI/ML model development, multi-omics and NGS data analysis, computational drug discovery, Python, and R workflows. He has 20 plus research publications, 700 plus citations, and most importantly, he has trained and mentored hundreds of students into industry roles. So, this session is where you get your step by step game plan. So, without wasting much further time, let's start off with our sessions. I request our first speaker for the day, Dr. Neeraj, to kindly take over.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the opportunity and allow me to share my screen.
Sure, sir.
I hope the slides are visible, right? Clear and crystal clear, right?
Yes, sir. All good.
Yeah. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So hello everyone and a very good evening. And I hope all of you are doing well and who are celebrating Baisakhi. So very happy Baisakhi to each and every person out there. So today, as ma'am has already introduced me, so very thank you to ma'am. So today we are, so basically I am going to talk about that what exactly companies look for. Okay, what is the job landscape, right? Currently in the drug discovery domain, right? What are the companies? Which are the major giants? Okay, what are their classification? Okay, there are number of huge companies, right? They are called as pharma giants, right? And there are biotech startups, right? Where the AI is the foundational. Their core is AI, right? And what type of roles you can look for in those companies, right? If you are looking forward to having a job in AI startups or the pharma giants, then how you need to prepare yourself, right? And what exactly they look for. Okay, what is the exact skill set, right? So I'll be talking about all these points in some depth as well as in brief, so you can have idea, so you can make yourself comfortable and you can make yourself future ready, right? Because AI drug discovery is not just about algorithms, right? It's about integrating biology, chemistry, data science to solve the real world therapeutic problems, right? To bring a particular molecule into the market, right? So, what are the data analysis parts? What are the biological insights, right? How to integrate chemistry, how to integrate biology, the knowledge you have about all those domains, right? How to just bring that on a single plate, right? So what are the skill set where you can look for and what type of roles you can have? So that is what we are going to talk in this particular session, right? So basically there are two types of companies, right? First of all, we have AI startups. So AI startups are companies where AI is not just a tool. Okay, AI is just not a methodology. AI is the foundation of entire business model, right? So these are the companies that are built with AI at their core, right? So basically they try to build a fully integrated AI guided drug discovery pipelines, right? So they use complete AI driven drug discovery pipelines, which is a digital first experiment, right? Here, by means of digital first experiment, here the all work or the complete work is completely dependent over in silico that precedes as well as guides the wet lab validation as well as experiments, right? So they first of all validate in silico in at the platform of in silico by means of in silico within the computers. right? So today in current scenarios, we have supercomputers, we have very high end computational architectures, right, that can handle very advanced computational architectures, right? So they provide value, speed, innovation, as well as generalist experiments, right? So they can work over a rapid hypothesis testing using the computational models, right? They provide innovative mindset, so they provide willingness to experiment with the new algorithms as well as approaches. Okay, they just not rely over the traditional methodologies or the existing tricks and techniques, right? They have the courage to innovate, right? And they can generalize the expertise, right? So by means of generalist expertise, so here the professional who can work within biology, have the knowledge of chemistry, and have the computational knowledge, so they can bring those people, right? So these things tell you about that if you have knowledge about biology, you have knowledge about chemistry, then you can acquire skills into AI, ML, and how to integrate those knowledge, right? So you have to present a bouquet of skill set. You cannot rely over just a single skill set, right? So this is the first tier in companies. If you are looking forward to having your career in AI domain, drug discovery, or in pharma industry, right? Then there is tier 2, that is the big pharma giants. So what are big pharma giants? So these are established pharmaceutical leaders, right? So the leaders who have already established themselves, for example Pfizer, Novartis, and in India Sun Pharma, okay, Biocon. These are the major pharma giants, right? They are also working toward AI guided drug discovery processes, but the thing is they are not completely relying on AI technologies. They are leaders in integrating AI to modernize the massive legacy pipelines, right? Here AI is integrated with the existing large scale pipelines. Okay, they are not building from scratch as compared to AI first startups where they are building those pipelines from scratch, right? So here the focus of big pharma giants is on optimizing the specific stages such as clinical trial design, then the lead optimization, as well as the predictive toxicology, right? So basically these big pharma giants seek deep domain experts to solve the specific bottlenecks, right, in trial design and predictive chemistry, right? Basically they require or they want employees who have deepened knowledge into specific areas, for example QSAR modeling, structural biology, medicinal chemistry, and who have the ability to solve targeted bottlenecks. Those are not necessarily limited to redesign the system or just optimizing the system, right? So you must have general skill set and a particular domain expertise, right? So these type of companies are out there where you can look forward for your career. Okay, this is the first thing. Then what are the AI startup pioneers? Okay, so we have discussed about their principles. So AI startups basically work toward their the fundamental principle is the AI technologies. Okay, so here there are number of companies, right? Basically these companies are out there who have built over AI driven principles, right? So here they turn biology into image based data to multi scale or to just accelerate the drug discovery process. Okay, so these are the companies here. AI is the central engine for the drug discovery, which is not just a supporting tool, right? So they completely rely over AI guided pipelines, right? So these are the companies: Recrusion, Excentia, Atomwise, In Silico Medicine, Benevolent, and Schrodinger, right? So basically reclusion is basically to working towards scaling drug discovery via computer vision. So here by means of computer vision, so they basically work over image data sets. So images data set are coming out from MRI scans, CT scans, X-ray scans. Okay, so how to analyze those scans, okay, and how to find out the diseased state, right? if you want to learn these things more in more depth, like what is computer vision, right, what are generative AI and how they are working towards targets as well as molecules, what is precision design, then you have to just join our programs, because there we just work over the projects, we work over the theory, and we connect theory as well as practicals towards achieving specific goals, right? So I am just giving you the idea that what are the companies and what they exactly look for. Then we have in silico medicine, right? So in silico medicine basically works with the principle of generative AI for targets as well as molecules, right? Here they basically focuses on end to end AI driven drug designing pipeline, and they are using generative AI. So generative AI, if you are assuming what exactly is generative AI, so if you are using any AI chatbot, whether it is ChatGPT, Gemini, or anything, right? So they are generating answers for you. Okay. So this is the first-hand experience for yourself that how Gen AI works. Okay. That is how they can generate new molecules as drugs, right? Then we have Excentia, which is patient first AI precision drug designing company. Okay, so it basically works or emphasizes over personalized medicine. That is by integrating the patient driven data as well as AI driven compound design, right? Then we have benevolent. Benevolent is disease which maps the diseases via knowledge graphs. So it works on the principle of graph neural networks, right? And the graph plus Gen AI, right? Then we have Atomwise. So Atomwise is a company that works with the principle of the convolutional neural networks for structure-based drug designing. Then Schrodinger. So if you have ever used Pymol in your academic career or in your professional career, then you have already touched the Schrodinger company, right? So Schrodinger is a company that now have moved towards AI guided pipelines, right? So Schrodinger is a company that works over the physics based machine learning simulations, right? So basically, it combines the classical physics based modeling along with the machine learning to provide the high accuracy simulations for drug discovery, right? So these are the few leaders, right, in AI first startups. Then we have tier 2. Those are the pharma giants. So here the pharma giants are Pfizer, Roche, and Genentech. Then the Novartis, AstraZeneca, then the GSK. AstraZeneca, Novartis, GSK, and Pfizer. You would find out in India also. They have their outreach, they have their R&D units as well as their manufacturing units also, right? So these are the pharma giants. So I think I do not have to emphasize more about these pharma giants, because each and every person know, because they deals with the manufacturing, they deals with the research and development, and they also work toward the clinical trial processes, right? So they work from the scratch towards developing a new drug, and they put their all their efforts to bring a particular compound as a potential drug candidate into market, right? So they must have to work over multiple pipelines, right? So first of all, they have to just start with the clinical with the drug discovery process, okay, to find out a proper compound against a particular target, right? That is a drug discovery process. Then after having that particular drug, just with the help of computational drug discovery pipelines, then they jump into experimental stages. Then after completing the experimental stages, they have to jump into clinical trials, right? And then after having clinical trials, if they succeed in clinical trials, then then that particular drug candidate would have to come to the market, right? So at each step they need computational drug discovery scientists, data scientists, who can understand biology, chemistry, and who can integrate biology, chemistry with the data sets they have at present. And now, these days, they need persons or the personnels with the AI guided skills, right? So, these are the pharma giants where you can look forward for your first job. Okay. So what exactly roles you can look forward for? Okay, because eventually you have to go over a specific role. So these are the companies and what type of roles they can offer to you while you want to join their venture, right? First of all, you can work as a computational biologist, right? So what exactly a computational biologist? So computational biologist works at the intersection of biology as well as data science, and their key responsibilities include the target identification using genomics, transcriptomics, or multiomics approaches, right? They have to work with the pathway analysis or network analysis, right? And basically they must have the ability to translate biological question into computational workflow, and that can design a actionable insights, right? This is the first role. Then the second role you can look forward for, that is the cheminformatics scientist. So cheminformatics scientist basically focuses on the chemical data and molecular modeling, right? So basically they have to work at the intersection or towards the QSAR modeling, molecular descriptor generation and data pre-processing, then the virtual screening, lead identification, lead optimization, right? And cheminformatics scientists should have strong ability to connect molecular structures with the biological activity using predictive models, right? Then you can look forward for the structural bioinformatician, right? What exactly a structural bioinformatician is? So this is a person who can works with the 3D structures of biomacromolecules or biomolecules in easy language, right? What are their key responsibilities? What exactly a structural bioinformatician should do? So they should work with the protein structure analysis. They must understand the molecular structures, then the molecular docking simulations and the binding analysis. Okay, they must understand the molecular dynamic simulations. Okay, so here the molecular docking simulation and molecular dynamic simulations are different techniques, right? Basically, the structural bioinformatician should have the capability to interpret the structure function relationships and how to use those insights for drug designing decisions, right? That is the purpose of a structural bioinformatician, right? Then you can go for research scientist that has to emphasize over AIML. Okay, so here the research scientists who have the domain expertise in AIML at the intersection of biology as well as chemistry, right? Here he has to focus on, or the person has to focus on developing new algorithms as well as models, and he has to work toward designing new machine learning or deep learning architectures, and to build generative models for molecular design and publishing research as well as advancing methodologies, right? So a research scientist should have the ability to push the boundaries of AI methods, and he or she just has not only to apply these knowledge or their domain expertise. They have to develop, they have to publish, and they have to establish those pipelines as well as methodologies, right? So these are the major roles, right? Then you have basically the AI ML guided rules. Okay, so basically those need AI and ML engineering techniques, and who can work at the intersection of bioinformatics, biology, chemistry, as well as physics also. Okay, so you can look forward for the first role as machine learning engineer. Okay, so these are the pure engineers who have the capability to work at the with the domain expertise of machine learning. Okay, so these machine learning engineers bridges the gap between research models and production systems. Okay, basically they implement and optimize machine learning models, then they convert the prototype models or predictive models into scalable as well as efficient pipelines, and they have to perform model tuning, validation, and performance monitoring. Then we have machine learning operation engineers. Okay, so what how they are different from ML engineers, right? So basically machine learning operational engineers have to focus on life cycle management of machine learning systems, right? Their key responsibilities include automation of training, testing, as well as deployment workflows, and they basically work at the intersection of development as well as scalability. and their major role have to scale the pipelines, right? This is the first thing. Then they have to manage the model version and reproducibility. Okay, so if the machine learning engineers have developed a new model, they have to keep the versions of those models, and they have to push as well as integrate the updates to the existing machine learning pipeline. So these are the basic roles of a machine learning operational engineers. Then you can work as a data scientist or data engineer. Okay, so data engineer have to build and maintain the data in infrastructures. Those are required for artificial intelligence algorithms. Okay, so they have to integrate the diverse data sources, they have to ensure the data quality, consistency, as well as accessibility, right? Then you can work as a data curator, right? So data curator have to provide the or have to ensure that the data used for AI is clean, annotated, as well as scientifically meaningful. Okay, so they have to basically work toward data cleaning, standardizing formats, and then validating the data integrity and data pre-processing, right? So these are the roles basically you can look forward for. But if you are wondering that why I have kept these roles also, so if you are coming from machine learning and AI engineering background, then you would have the capabilities, you would have the opportunities to work in AI guided biotech sector, that is completely focusing over drug discovery pipelines, and even in the pharma giants, right? So what exactly skill set you should bring to these employers, right? Because eventually you must have some skill set that they would look forward for, and that would help you to get your job, right? So basically you must be efficient in programming languages, at least one or two. So you can work towards Python, right? And in Python you must understand pandas, numpy, so these are representative packages, right? Then C++ and PyTorch and TensorFlow for AI and ML architectures. Then you must understand machine learning architectures, right? What exactly machine learning architectures are? So these are the pre-written packages using which you can develop your AI or machine learning models, and after developing your models, after optimization, you can scale them, you can generalize them. Okay, so these are the machine learning architectures. So basically there are a number of machine learning architectures. For example, graph neural networks, in shorter terms they are called as GNNs. Then transformers, reinforcement learning. So transformers are the architectures who drives the AI chatbots, whether it is ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever, right? Then reinforcement learning. If you have ever played the PS4, PS5, so how the other person, other player plays as another player in that particular game, and how it decides their moves, right? And another example of reinforcement learning, how self-driven cars decide their next action, when to apply brakes, when to accelerate, when to take turn, right? That is called reinforcement learning. And if you want to learn all these things in depth, and how to integrate these knowledge towards the drug discovery pipelines, or towards the computational biology, then you have to join us. Okay, and this is the opportunity you can get here. Then the domain tools, basically. So here I have kept the basically tools who are which are working towards drug discovery pipelines. So RDKit is used for molecular data pre-processing, feature calculation, descriptor calculation, as well as the molecular representations, right? Then BioPython, then the molecular docking. So these are domain specific tools for drug discovery. Then the data sources, so you must know where to fetch data, how to process data, how to understand data, right? So here are the data sources: Campbell, Uniprot, Protein Data Bank, and TCGA. So these are the data sources you need to understand, you need to have experience working with. Okay, so these are the skill sets basically employers look forward for. And what is the X factor which help you to get hired, right? Basically the ability to translate complex machine learning metrics into biological insights for non-technical stakeholders is what separates strong candidates from the rest. Okay. Basically you must understand machine learning matrices. Okay, and if you have applied machine learning methodologies, you have first of all you have to develop a machine learning methodology, right? And then you have applied that methodology, and uh, you have just withdrawn some biological insights, right? But there is another person, right, who do not understand machine learning, who does not understand the programming languages, who does not understand basically bioinformatics techniques, right? But they understand biology, they understand chemistry. So you have to translate that knowledge. You have the knowledge or the biological insights you have withdrawn with the experimental stages, right? You have to translate that particular knowledge in the easy language so they can understand, right? And this is the x factor that separates a strong candidate from the rest of the student candidates who are looking forward for the job. And with this I would like to thank you for the opportunity, and thank you, ma'am. This is it from my side.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neeraj. That was extremely insightful, and
Thank you, ma'am.
especially the way you broke down what companies are actually looking for. And I'm sure many of you now have a much clearer picture of what the real industry landscape is. So, with that, let's move on to our second session. And I welcome our second speaker for the day, Dr. Mrityunjay Singh. Over to the days. Kindly help me welcome every participants. Warm welcome to you, sir, once again. And sir will be talking about the skill blueprint, what you must build to get hired. And if you have any questions specifically for Dr. Mrityunjay, you may drop it in the comment section. We will take up few of those questions right after the session, and rest of them we will be taking up at the end. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. So already most of the thing discussed by the previous speaker. So my discussion will be very short because they already mentioned in very detail. So let me share my screen. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me start with the first. So here, the today in the discussion, my talk is the skill blueprint, what you must build to get hired. So I will go in the intersection of the AI/ML, biology, and drug discovery chemistry. So drug discovery mostly belong to the biology and chemistry and mathematics. Then the mathematics part is mostly handled by the AI/ML part. The part is where biology and chemistry playing role in this AI era. So we will discuss in little bit very brief. So there is a four pillar, the non-negotiable four pillar for this whole current scenario. The one is programming, another is a ML found ML basic ML AI/ML understanding, and third one is the domain knowledge. That domain knowledge belong to the category biologics or chemistry, and fourth is that data literacy. Data literacy is very much important, no matter whether you belong to the AI/ML background or biologic or chemistry background. Data is the oil in current scenario. As much good you are good over the data, that much good your outcome will be there. So to have a very good data for biologic and chemistry candidate, you are very good have a hand over the your domain knowledge expertise. You can handle currently large language model as too much advanced, so you can handle even programming and ML fundamental. I'm little bit different from the previous year. Uh, previous the talk mentioned as per the previous talk, so little bit I have a difference. So we can week over the programming. We know if you have a little bit basic knowledge, if you are not belong to the complete AI/ML background, then it's okay. At least you should have a basic understanding. Where is the data, what is the real data, what is need to build a model. So you have a basic understanding over there. Then you can be act as a good player between intersection. Otherwise, it will be hard to make a good connection. And if you are a good AI/ML scientist over there, working over there, you need to have a very good connection, a very good explainer, so that you can get a better understanding which value you should consider in your data preparation and model building. For example, IC50. What is the meaning of the IC50 and how we can count? So IC50.8 nanomolar IC50 and 8000 nanomolar IC50, which one is good? So if you are just a mathematic person, you will consider 8000 as a best value compared to the 8 nanomolar. So here you need to have a better understanding for the biology and chemistry perspective, which is the correct value and how we should get over there. So these are the requirement for the EIML candidate, and biology candidate just they have a basic understanding what is the Python, and they don't need to be too much expert over the Python, but basic understanding, and they can took help of the LLM. So example, if you are working over the any, this is my PhD topic, Shatwin one. So if you are working over any selective designing, so how many tools are over there? What are the tools you will do? So these are the conditions. So you can consider both a standalone tool or a conventional tool provided by the various paid and open source tools like molecular modeling tools. So if you consider protein modeling, so there is a modeler open source tool, and Schrodinger have a prime model over there. So if you have a paid tool, so you can go with the Schrodinger, and if you have open source tools, so you can go with the modeler. But in the recent time, there is another tool like AlphaFolds, so ESM folds. So there are various protein folding models are available. So you can also give a chance over there and took best model from over there. Similarly, so already I mentioned basic requirement for the discovery scientist. So the my talk is the pillars of the particular category. So for biology and chemistry category, major pillar is the your understanding of your particular domain knowledge. And current scenario, how many new tools are coming day by day, and how can you utilize, you can how much you utilize your expertise over that particular tool. Suppose AlphaFold is coming. So there are various model of the AlphaFold, AlphaFold 1, AlphaFold 2, AlphaFold 3. What is the difference between each model? What is their ups and down over the model? How can you overcome your problem over there? Similarly, the AIML can, I will go over there. So you can check the pros and cons of the AI-based tools and standalone conventional tools like Schrodinger, Autodoc, Pina. So you can try both the tools. So since you belong to the particular domain, so you can better judge the outcome from the which tool is compared to the previous tool is much better. So AI candidate or ML candidate or new candidate which are coming from the different way, it will be very hard for him to judge if any answer he or she is getting. He will just follow that answer. But you are the key candidate who can tell the actual difference between different tools and their outcomes. So these are the, if you have a good knowledge over the Python, so you can just give a try over the RDKit, DeepCam, and give hands over the various types of fingerprints. There are pros and cons of that particular fingerprints. So now I'm coming to the AIML engineering part. So in AIML engineering part, as I mentioned in the previous case, so understanding of the biological data, what are the up value, what are the down value, what is the null value, how to feed them, how to correlate with the particular fingerprints, whether you want to suppose you are working over the small molecule data, so which information you should consider, whether you consider IUPAC as a target inform reference for any particular molecule, or you consider smile string, or you consider selfie string. So you have to have better understanding before working over the model. And the another major problem with the AIML engineer expertise that is required, orchestration, which type of neural network model, whether GNN architecture, uh, you want to work over the reinforcement learning. So which model you should work, which model work, whether you want to build model from the scratch, whether you want to just retrain the model. So you have to look over the what is your capacity of the GPU. So orchestration and type of the model, basic understanding, and these are the basic requirement of the ML engineer part. So, as I mentioned, the connection between biologists and ML engineer is very much important in the current scene. If we have a disconnection, the AI candidate cannot build a show to build a model for biology. Similarly, biology candidate, because they are don't have a too much expertise over the mathematical computation, they may not very good over the building of the whole model by their own self, even by knowing the basic information over there. So there is a good interconnection. If we bring both together, then we can build a better model. So bridge between the biology and AIML candidate, that there is a significant gap is over there, and how much beautifully you will handle that gap, that is the beauty. And who will handle that gap in a better way, those candidates may lead the future condition. So for ML candidates, the basic information, binding affinity, experimental assay, how to correlate them is much more important. For biological candidate and chemistry candidate, what are the ML optimization, error analysis that is requirement. So for the conclusion in the 2026 roadmap, you should at least master your basic domain. Then you look for the data preparation, that is a second most important category. Then you have basic understanding for the Python, a particular language you are working. AI is currently most prominently leading by the Python. So Python, if you are good over the Python, it will be good. Then uh, y- try to prepare your repository for particular class, like Hugging Face, GitHub. You can utilize this as your repository. You also look for the repository. There are various tools are available over there. Utilize in your case. You have a very good knowledge over the database, how to utilize them. These are the open source database. And if anything coming from the free, that have their own limitation. You have to have work a lot over the free material. Otherwise, anything prepared over the free material, that will lead to severe loss in the end. So these are the open source. You have to work over a lot in preparation of the data, and then you can utilize various tools available to the system. And now I'm completing my talks. If you have any question, just give me the comment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mrityunjay. And this was a very incredibly valuable session, I must say, and especially coming from someone who is actively working at that level. And I'm sure everyone here got a very realistic understanding of what it actually takes. So we'll take up a few questions. So our first question is, I'll be displaying, this question is on the screen, sir, if you can have a look at it. So this question comes from Sudipta, and this is a very common question that people ask. What scope are there in India for research scientist AIML?
So this is a very good question. So actually, there is a lot of the scope for research scientists in AI/ML. So previously, I work over the in Nodish AI. So Nodish AI is a completely artificial intelligence company. I work like a data scientist, but I presented some my domain expertise over there, and founder become too much interested over that domain knowledge, and immediately he started one startup called Molecule AI that belong to the building up the end-to-end pipeline for drug discovery. So if you are working research scientist, so I'm not too much expert over the that time in AI things. So we need a very good research scientist over there. In current situation, if I'm frankly speaking, very less AI expert available in India. Even we are a major resource of AI expert, but actually AI expert is very less in India. So we have a lot of the startups. Every company is working over the AI expertise. Every company, no matter whether it is pharma company or any company. So they are they are transitioning toward the AI. But the problem they are facing, the lack of the AI expert and the domain knowledge. The domain knowledge and AI expert, so these two things are very still they are demanding. If you are good over them, the company is open to take you anyhow.
Right, right. So very aptly said, sir. As you heard from Dr. Singh himself, that the scope is huge and the demand is huge, but currently there is a need, and that's why maybe you are the scientists, budding scientists, and you should take up the opportunities. Yes, so one more question, Dr. Singh. What is the difference between data engineering and data scientist? This question is coming from Nasreen.
So there is a there is a significantly difference between data engineer, as you can understand from the title itself, data engineer. So their engineer is actually preparing the data. Okay, engineer is building the material. Scientists, they are one step ahead from the data engineer. So data scientist is actually taking the data from the engineer and they are playing with the data. So data engineer building the data and data scientist playing with the data.
Right, right. Thank you, sir, for showing the difference. And we'll take up one last question as of now. We'll take up the rest of the questions in our Q&A section. So this is from Aishwarya Joshi, Dr. Singh. I have a strong foundation in R and SQL. What advice do you have for someone with my skill set to break into bioinformatics internships that frequently demand Python?
So if you have any language knowledge, one language knowledge is sufficient. You have a very good knowledge in R and SQL, that is sufficient. So you don't need any additional Python expertise. But you can just took the help of the LLM and convert your R script into Python. Because Python, if you know one script, you can quickly grasp the understanding of the second script. So there is no need of taking additional internship or education for the Python. You just took additional help from the YouTube or LLM. It will be fine to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mrityunjay, for your time. It was a great pleasure having you here today, and we hope to see you in our future sessions as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bye. Can I leave this session now?
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, so we'll move on to the third session now. And this is the most important session because we have with us Dr. Bhupinder, who will be connecting everything that you saw till now into a clear roadmap. So this is where you will get your step-by-step game plan, and that is why it is the most important in today's webinar. Over to you, Dr. Bhupinder.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope I'm audible to everyone. So, yeah,
Yes, sir, you're audible.
thank you, ma'am. So, once again, I welcome everyone to this exciting session. So far, all of you might have experienced about this field, that how not only AI is an essential part, but biology also holds a crucial part into basically bridging the gap between both of these things, and then ultimately coming to a point where we can solve the real world problems with all the massive data sets which we have, and then obviously applying our biology knowledge, right? So the idea here is that the field is open to everyone in the sense those who are actually doing engineering, or those who are computer scientists, and on the other hand those who are what you say, pure biologists, right? So just give me a second while I share my screen with you. Yes, I hope my screen is visible with everyone, and I can continue with the session.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's all visible.
Thank thank you. So, yeah, guys, as you can see, I'll be talking about the career roadmap which you can take up while progressing into AI/ML in biology as well as drug discovery for the year 2026, right? So the agenda of my talk will be focusing upon all these 4 points primarily, wherein I will start with why there is an explosion in this field. I mean, why we are seeing so many computer scientists entering into the biologists, or so many biologists actually taking up your computer sciences, or started sensitizing them into these AI/ML field, right? Then once this part is over, then I'll basically provide you a stepwise guide that how from which point you can basically start off, and then from there onwards you'll have a complete roadmap into, say, developing yourself into a professional wherein you can actually take up a real world industry job, or you can join any research position, or you can go to have your own startups based on your skill sets and expertise, right? And yeah, that is what my agenda for this session is going to be. So without any further delay, I would like to start off with how AI/ML is actually revolutionizing our biology field as well as our computational drug discovery, right? So I'll be talking about few highlights which have actually brought up creating a more extension and existence of using AI/ML in biology. So the very first thing is AlphaFold. So I hope everyone of us who are present in this session are aware of AlphaFold, right? So AlphaFold 2 model, to give you a brief, has got Nobel Prize. I mean, those guys, and it was basically developed by Google DeepMind. And for your information, now the third version of AlphaFold is already out, and it is available as open source model, wherein not only you can predict or what is it, design the interactions between protein and ligand, but also you can also have DNA protein interaction, DNA RNA interactions, or any sort of interactions, biological interactions at molecular level, macro of molecules can be possible, right? So this is one impact the AI/ML has brought into your biology field. And then second thing is having those agents in our system, which is one step ahead of utilizing AI/ML based system. So I would like to take this example from in silico medicine, who has basically developed separate modules to not only design a particular molecule, but also doing those computational analysis to find out that how the drug is going to behave in clinical trials. And as you can see now, this drug has already reached to the clinical trials, which is entirely AI designed drug for fibrosis, right? So this is one more huge impact which you can see that biology and AI/ML based techniques are bringing into this particular field. And then last but not the least, I think recursion. So previous speakers have already pointed out that what all wonders they are bringing into the market, right? And so here you can see a complete list of so many molecules which they have synthesized or designed using recent AI-based developments, and they are basically at various stages of clinical trials for various types of cancers or various cancerous conditions, right? So the whole idea here is what I want to talk about is that obviously the era is now. The way we want to utilize AI/ML based systems into answering biological questions and making more useful impacts is now, right? So and you can see the wonders, and obviously this field is going to explode more in the coming time. So it's better that you uh, to this journey as soon as possible, right? So from here onwards, now I'll switch towards how you can progress, right? How your journey is going to be in order to become an AI/ML based professional in biology as well as drug discovery, right? So the very first step is to know your starting point, right? So where you stand in terms of your skill sets, right? So as our previous speaker and Urmimala ma'am has already pointed out that the field is open for biologists as well as your machine learning engineers or computer scientists, right? So the very first thing is if you are a biologist or a wet lab person, right? So the very first thing is to check your skills, right? Skills in the sense, what are your computational skills? I mean, for example, the most widely used programming language is Python nowadays in our biological data analysis. So you can check your Python skills, and then what you have found out that what all shortcomings are there in your gap. I mean, in your skill set, you can try to fill those gaps maybe within a month or 1 or 2 months, right? So that you make yourself more efficient at doing Python-based biological analysis, right? So for this, you can take various trainings. You can maybe start taking up projects, right? Accordingly. So the whole idea here is, I mean, based on my personal recommendation, is to take up a research problem into hand, right? So by which you will not only be able to understand the peculiarities of a programming language, but you will also come to know that how you can actually address a biological questions using those skills, right? So once your programming skills are complete, then obviously you can jump into uh, taking up AI/ML based approaches, right? And then you can start applying those in your biological data. So some of the most known libraries which are being used for a biologist, I mean, obviously in biological data sets, but for biologist, I would recommend is to adapt yourself in utilizing pandas, NumPy, scikit-learn, and TensorFlow for doing machine learning and AI/ML based model development, right? Then the second thing is for those persons who are actually computer scientists or who are doing engineering, right? So, but obviously, you might have realized that there is huge demand for those persons who are actually hardcore at doing more macromolecular level of engineering or model designing, right? So now for those who want to enter into biology and they want to mature their skill sets on biological data set. So my recommendation would be to first take up a biological domain into hand, right? So maybe you can think of taking genomics, proteomics, or cancer genomics, or metabolomics, anything you can take, any domain which you find more fascinating, right? And then obviously you can start reading about some of the key research papers and review articles which are there in that particular field, right? You can refer to nature journals or science journals, annual reviews. All these provide very benchmark journals, and if you're able to access those high quality research papers and review papers, definitely you'll be able to not only get a foundation of those biological concepts, but also you'll be in a condition to get an idea that where the field stands at this particular time, and what all tools or technology needs to be applied in order to solve those problems, right? And then obviously once you have got that domain knowledge, then you can cash upon on your computer science skills, your engineering skills to develop various AI/ML based data sets on all the publicly available biological data sets, right? So few of the resources come databases which I would recommend, right? So if you want to go into cancer, then you can look for this TCGA database, which is the Cancer Genome Atlas. And then if you are somewhat into structures, you are more interested towards doing simulations, then definitely you can go for delving into a protein data bank or AlphaFold protein structure database, right? So the whole idea behind step one is to basically find out where you stand, what all gaps or shortcomings are there based on your expertise, and then maybe take a month or 2 months and then have a strategy to actually fill up those gaps, and then take up real biological problems into hand and then try to solve these with your skill sets, right? So that is how you're going to fill that gap, or whether you are a biologist or engineering person, right? Then that second step after this is to build a complete end-to-end project, right? So end-to-end project basically corresponds to that you'll start from, say, identifying a problem, right? Then finding out what all gaps are there, and then you start curating the data, uh, doing pre-processing, applying various models, and then coming into the conclusions, right? So like I mentioned, the very first thing is to identify a biological questions. What all problems are there, which you think is solvable with you, with the skill sets which you have basically got by completing your first step, right? And then once you have identified that problem, then definitely you can go for curating a data set, right? Because obviously you want to go into developing an AI/ML based model. So some of the benchmark data sets which are already publicly available are already in NCBI. You can go for AlphaFold. And if you are into NGS or sequencing based data sets, then definitely you can go for NCBI SRA and gene expression omnibus, right? And those who are actually into drug discovery, computational drug discovery, they can definitely look for resources like ZincDB or Coconut Natural Products Database or Campbell, right? Then after this, obviously, the next step is to build or train your AI/ML based model, do cross validation, then test it on unseen data so that you will have this capacity to find out what all glitches are there in your not only in your data but in your model, and then you can tweak your model to get the best of the accuracy, right? And then once you have your model developed, because now the model which is being developed is based on the current gap in the biology which you have identified at your very first step, right? So then obviously you can switch towards, I mean, you can think of going into deploying those models, right? You can use Streamlit or Gradio app, right, just to provide the scientific community with what all biological questions you have addressed, right? And you can also provide some insights into how to interpret the results, right? I mean, whatever predictions which have been received from the model is how those things can be interpreted, right? So now coming to the conclusion of this slide. So in step two, what I want is basically you should develop a understanding that how you can look at a look at into a biological problem, and then how you can try to solve using your computational or bioinformatics skills and then further you can also make your analysis publicly available so that you can be noticed, right? And then definitely you can also look towards publishing your projects into GitHub, right? You can also write a blog, or the best thing would be to go into GitHub, right? So that whatever things you have done is publicly accessible, right? So the next thing is once you have a project in your hand, I mean, you have already worked on a project, you have addressed a problem. The next step after this is to make your work findable by the right people, right? So how it is going to be possible. So obviously, I would recommend you to post on GitHub, or you can submit the data sets on Kaggle, or you can submit the entire model and make it publicly accessible on Hugging Face, right? So like I mentioned, you can create a GitHub profile, right? You can create your own website. I mean, obviously, in the age of AI, it's not a big task. You can simply write a prompt and you will be, it will be ready with all the details which you have provided, right? Then obviously the very most important thing is to have a LinkedIn profile, and wherein your profile will mention about some keywords, right? Like your aspiring AI/ML biologist, or your end-to-end project development expert, right? Or a drug discovery specialist, or you're open to any computational biology roles, right? Then yes, you can also post a blog. You can write that maybe how you have developed a model, or how you have utilized the model to solve or to get the answers which were unanswered in biology field, or using your publicly available biological data sets, right? And as I mentioned, you can always paste those data sets as well as models in Kaggle as well as Hugging Face, right? So here now, because most of the work is already done, so the step three will basically help you to get connected to the right person, right? So that your work is actually noticed by those who are actually peers in this field, right? And then the next step, which is step four, is to enter the scientific community before we actually go into applying for various positions, right? So you can attend conferences, you can attend webinars, and most of the companies such as Recursion, in Silico, uh, they are already providing various webinars which you can attend to get what are the various industry level skill sets which they are looking into, or to come to know that what all problems are being addressed, right? So you can also join various Slack or Discord communities which are there to, I mean, have yourself emerged into this AI/ML in biology and drug discovery field, right? And yes, you can also try to contribute, right? Obviously, if you start using GitHub, you can see there are so many issues, and maybe whenever you are trying to do, whenever you are using a particular library, you have found some glitches. So you can also try to solve. Uh, you can push your whatever things, the way you have solved that into those particular repositories, so that now you are getting noticed, right? And last but not the least is obviously you might be reading some papers, you will be knowing that what are the peers in the field, and maybe you'll try to build some models, or you want to do some work. Then you can reach out to those persons as well, and you can mention that you are inspired from their work and this is what you have came from, and then you can look for some serious feedbacks from them, right? So what this will do, this will basically help you to make, I mean, you'll be already known to the community before you actually go into applying for any positions, right? So this is going to be the most crucial step, obviously, but that doesn't mean that a previous step should be overlooked, right? Because if your model or the problem which you have addressed is having significance, then definitely this step will be more easier for you to progress into, right? And then the next step is to target companies which I would recommend you to go with some strategy, right? Don't go randomly, right? So, like I think this already mentioned about previous speakers, what all things are being offered by recursion in silico medicine, excigencia, then Schrodinger, right? So all those companies are always already using AI into real world data, clinical data sets, right? So these are also, I think, well covered. What are some big pharma teams in who are actually doing computational drug discovery, right? So yeah, coming to the final point, what is going to be your action plan? So within next 30 to 60 days, I would like to have your audit completed in terms of where you stand in terms of your skill set, and try to complete those, try to fill those gap and make yourself industry or research ready, right? And then maybe in next 90 or 120 days, you can have your work introduced publicly, and you have already and you'll start engaging yourself into the scientific community or industry, right? And I would recommend you to apply targeted, right? So whatever skill set you have opted for, or you have whatever problem you have addressed, try to first uh, apply to those particular specific roles, right? This will make you more approach more target, right, rather than randomly going and applying for maybe 100 or 1,000 companies, right? So yeah, with this, if you will follow this, maybe by the end of this year, definitely you'll have interviews at the exact companies which you're looking for, right? So yeah, I think I already overshooted some time. So final truth, obviously the field is evolving quite fast, and the demand here is to have demonstrated impact. You should have projects with yourself so that you can actually show off that yes, you have got this skill set. Not only you can learn or get uh, to find the gaps in the biology, but you also possess those AIML skills by which you can answer those identified gaps in the biology, right? And yeah, it is not required to have a PhD or say more than 5 or 10 years of experience. But definitely, when you're going to start, you will get more understanding of this field, and if you found it more interesting, so definitely that will arouse you to maybe gain more industrial experience or even pursue PhD, right? So that stage is open. But for beginning, just remove this. I mean, just remove this from your mind that you need to have higher qualification, right? So rather than this, focus on developing various projects, identifying or addressing any biological problems, right? So yeah, that is it from my side. So I wish you all the best for your careers, and thank you very much. Over to you, Urmimala.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bhupender. So it was extremely practical session, and especially the step-by-step approach. And I think a lot of confusion just got clear for many people here. So to summarize very quickly what we learned about today, the industry is growing fast, but it rewards skills and not just degrees. And you need to have a strong foundation plus one deep specialization. And most importantly, you need to build real visible work, as already told by all our panel members. And if you are not building, you are not moving. So many of you are asking the questions that what skills we need to start with right now. So if you take anything from today, take this, that you need to start building strong Python skills, ML, that is machine learning fundamentals, and any one domain depth like structure or genomics or cheminformatics or drug discovery, and learn how to work with real biological data, right? So that is through some project internships, through some live internships, and don't wait for the perfect preparation. So I will choose this best one. I will choose what is best for myself. At least start with something. That's how actually people get stuck. just to choose out of the many options. So the best thing is at least what is in front of you. That's a clear goal that okay, these are the skills I need to develop, and I need to get hands-on with real data sets. So let me just start with this right now, right? So before we open the Q&A, I want to mention something very important. And many of you are probably thinking, and in fact, I'm receiving some questions also that, this is great, but how do I actually start? So we have two structured programs which are designed exactly for this. So on one side of your screen, you're seeing AI ML in drug discovery course, which is a self-learning course. So this you can just learn at your own pace. There is no pressure of attending live classes. And on the other side of the screen, you have a live internship program in AI, ML, and bioinformatics, which would have sessions on every working days. So these include hands-on projects, the most important part. So after your course sessions are over, you get to work with projects, and that involves real data sets, and you use industry relevant tools, and the best part, a guided mentorship, right? So our scientist members and our guides, our principal investigators, you will be assigned with your very own guide, and they will be at every step to help you achieve success in your project work and also in publications. So upcoming batches, we are starting AIML in drug discovery tomorrow. That is 15th of April. It's a self-learning course, as I said. So you don't, if you have any busy individuals here who are not able to commit to be able to join live classes every day, then this is for you. Okay. And on 20th April, we are starting our live internship. So this works very good for students who are currently in some pause from course, or even who are college going students. So they have time in the evening. So this is the best utilization that you can get. Okay. So if you're serious about entering this field, don't just start collecting information, start building skills. So now let's open the floor for Q&A. I request our panel members, Dr. Neeraj and Dr. Bhupendra, to kindly come online and help our audiences today with some of their doubts. Yeah, so our first question is from Chirabrata Devnath. Sir, I have done an end-to-end project. I did identification of diagnostic genes for Alzheimer's disease. Through gene expression analysis, I used NCBI GEO publicly available data for the project and done all the data pre-processing and all up to data visualization. Now, how do I approach for my job journey? So, any of the respected members, please help Chirabrata with his doubt.
Yeah, sure. Shall I, ma'am?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. So, Devanath, as I can see, you have basically identified some biomarkers for Alzheimer's disease doing your multiomics analysis, right? You are writing that you have completed your pre-processing as well as data visualization. So maybe you have come up with some biomarker genes which you think are crucial. So like I mentioned in my talk, so the next step after you have your results or your project ready, so you might have done you might have written codes, you might have done some downstreaming tasks. So you can start posting those results into your GitHub profile, right? And then maybe write a blog in your LinkedIn profile. And then from there onwards, once you have published your results, then you can think of applying into those specific companies who are actually looking for computational biomarker discovery or who are actually looking to address these various types of brain diseases, right? So, or even you can also look for applying into various research lab to get maybe entry level positions based on your academic qualification, right? So in this way, you can actually go into progressing into your field and getting most out of whatever things you have done till now, right? So that is it from my side.
Thank you so much, sir. So apologies for the inconvenience. So there's a power failure at my end. I hope I'm still audible to all of you.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am,
thank
you
you.
are.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Learning any coding language is compulsory, or we can use Claude or Gemini for research purposes to make lines of code. So this question is from MD Sib Gatullah. Any of the panel members would like to take this up, please?
May I, ma'am?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. Yes. So, welcome. I think your name is a bit complicated. So you said that learning any coding is it is compulsory. So this is a very debatable question these days, but yes, of course, it is necessary. Why? So let me tell you. Until unless you do not know any basic thing about each about a particular domain specific, right? So you have given a prompt to Claude, Gemini, Chat GPT, right? And it has written a code for you, right? And for example, you have just written a code to write a machine learning model, right? It will write for you simply. But whether that machine learning code is producing the result you need, okay, and it is capturing the features which are necessary for a optimized predictive model, okay, what are the hyperparameter tuning parameters, okay, what are other strategies that have been included in the code, okay, until unless you do not know basics of a language, okay, how it is iterating over a particular column in the data set, it is capturing or it is reading through the each and every data point within the given data set, right, which you are using as a training data set, and after training you are using for its generalization purposes, right? Until unless you do not know these things, okay, how your code is iterating, okay, which function it have included, okay, how to include a new function, right, how to have a better insights, okay, what exactly or how exactly you want to visualize your results, okay, until unless you do not know about these things within a programming language, then there is I think it is completely meaningless to write a code using any chatbot, okay. That is why these chatbots or AI is pretty hard to replace AI or ML engineers or the coders, right? So it is a pretty debatable, but yes, you must have the basic as well as foundational knowledge at anything. And Bhupender sir can also add their points if he has any.
Uh, Sorry, I lost your voice.
Yeah, Bhupender sir can also add their points if he has
Yeah,
any.
sure. I think most of the things are already cleared by Dr. Neeraj. So, yeah, I completely agree with the point that first we should be having understanding that how the purpose for which we are actually generating those codes. Are we aware that whether what is being generated is correct or not, right? So obviously that will come from having those basic knowledge, but that should not refrain us from using these resources, right? Obviously these are for our good, right? But having a knowledge about these programming languages will basically help you to progress more fastly, right? So this is what these generative models, those coding specific models are meant to, right? So yeah, so please have a basic knowledge, and then definitely you can have maximum benefits out of those generative models. Thank
Thank you so much, sir, for your both of your inputs. One of our participant, Jay Kumar, is curious to know whether there are opportunities abroad. So Dr. Mrityunjay has already pointed out the career scope in India. So Jay Kumar wants to know whether there are any opportunities abroad and does it have good future.
you. Okay, shall I start first?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, uh, Jay Kumar, obviously there are so many opportunities abroad, right? So, the very first thing is you need to have those skill set, and to get those positions in, say, EMBL or NCBI or any other reputed lab is just a matter of time. And not only you will go, you will have this opportunity with you to join a research lab to do maybe do your higher studies or get into a PhD, but you can also go into your various industry level roles. Like our speakers have already mentioned about so many companies like in silico medicine, Recursion. So they have their labs all over the world, right? So and not only they are into solving the biological problems, but doing translational research in terms of finding new medicines, new drugs. But they are also doing some basic research to identify what is the biology, like how biomarkers are being discovered, so what all biological targets can be identified. So yeah, there are so many opportunities which you can cash on, not only in abroad but also in India. So yeah, maybe Dr. Neeraj would like to add more into this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So most of the points have already been covered by Dr. Bhupender. But yes, I'm just giving you a brief answer that you must have a skill set, whether you want to work in India or you want to work globally, right? And these days each and everything is turning into data, right? We are producing huge amount of data, and that data sets need further analysis, processing, and withdrawing some significant outputs, right? Significant information from that raw data sets. For that you must have skill set, and once you have that skill set, you can go anywhere where you want to stay and you want to excel, right? That's it.
Thank you, sir. So we'll take up two last questions probably. So one question, a very young participant here. Can you just provide the proper correct roadmap for just after class 12th? So a very curious learner over here, maybe a shortcut and a very precise roadmap for him.
Yeah, Bhupender sir can go first.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So after 12th, I'm not aware about the background. So maybe if you are into biology or non-medical or both, right? So, but yeah, definitely, the whole point of this webinar was to say that this field is open to biologists as well as computer scientists. So whether you are doing engineering or you are into computer science or you are becoming a pure biologist, so there are obviously opportunities from both of the domains, right? So from after 12th, definitely you can go for BTech, doing a professional degree, or you can go into doing your bachelor's, say in biology, BSc in biology, and accordingly, obviously you'll at some point of time you'll be introduced with the bioinformatics, and from there onwards you will come to know of the intricacies and what all possibilities are there to see biology with computers. So I mean, based on my experience, it is very exciting field. I'm also from a non-medical background, but yeah, somehow I have made myself use my skills to address the biological problem. So yeah, so you can either take science, biology or computer science, but obviously you have to go into this field, and then you need to have a basic understanding of bioinformatics, and then from there onwards you will excel from your understandings, right? So yeah, I would like to pass to Dr. Neeraj. Thank you.
Yes, so I completely agree with Dr. Bhupender. And from my side, uh, if you are just a 12th pass out, right? So I am assuming that you have passed out 12th or you are in 12th, right? So, first thing, try to explore your interest during graduation. First of all, go to graduation, whether you want to have a graduation in computer sciences, basic biology, or with any honors or any domain, right? And look forward for your interest that would develop during your graduation, that what exactly you want to work. And if you want to have a basic idea about bioinformatics, what how exactly bioinformatics works, then we have a course for bioinformatics internship, right? You can jump in there and you can explore that course in more depth, and that would help you to develop your interest and have the basic insights that how exactly bioinformatics works and how to handle data sets, right? That's it from my side. Keep exploring, that's it.
That's a lovely advice to all of you. So whoever has posted other questions also, that's a general advice that keep exploring, and we are here to help you. So with that, we'll come to an end. And now, as promised, a small surprise from our end for staying till the end. And we are sharing a link right now in the chat box. So you can access your chat box right now. And the link is already there in your screen. I hope everyone received the link. Yes, so make sure you copy it. Copy it very quickly. This is a quick complimentary gift from our end. It's an ebook on freelancing in AI, ML, and AI and ML for biology and bioinformatics, and what are the work from home job skills, and most importantly, career growth. So it will cover work from home opportunities, skills that you need, and basically how to start earning. And honestly, you won't easily find something this practical elsewhere. So do make good use of it. So before we wrap up, let's a big thank. Let me just give a big thank to all of our speakers for the day, Dr. Neeraj, Dr. Britunjay, and Dr. Bhupender. You have taken your valuable time and you have shared your immense experience and insights with us, and we are really very grateful to you all today. Thank you so much for joining. And of course, thank you to all of our lovely audience for being such an engaged participation, for your so much engaged participation. And I'm quite confident this session gave you clarity. So do share it with your friends who are still confused about their career paths. And we would really appreciate your feedback. So you can type in either option one, option two, or option three. So this will definitely help us work more and bring more sessions like this, which would be helpful for you. So do post in your options in the chat box for the poll. And with that, thank you once again. And we will see you soon in the next session. Ensure that you copy the link of our freebie for today. And because with this end of the webinar, the link will also not be accessible anymore. So thank you so much once again. Have a great day ahead. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.